Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the second week for our CICE Community Conversations. My name is Dr. Andrew Gonzalez. I'm joined once again by Ashley Jones to tell you about something that comes up often in our work at Cal State Fullerton. And some of you might know, but we need to make this distinction between academic and non academic internships. Now, it might seem fairly easy, it might seem somewhat obvious. But as you'll see by the end of today, it's actually a very important distinction and why it's important for you to know if you are a student at Cal State Fullerton and you really want to receive academic credit and complete a lot of your course requirements. But before we get into that, just keep in mind, we're going to be here every Wednesday at 2 p.m. throughout the summer, bringing you new updates and workshops, but more importantly, bringing you employers, folks that actually are saying, we want to bring you in to do an academic internship. We want to do everything that Andrew and Ash are going to tell you all about today, about training, about mentoring, about building skill sets. And next week, we have one of our favorite folks coming on board, it's Logan from Frida Cinema. Now, he's going to tell you all about the experiences that he has to offer in the weeks to come. We're going to try to cover all the areas at Cal State Fullerton, whether you're in business, whether you're in humanities, whether you're in health and human development. There's always going to be a good internship for you. So we're going to do our best to bring those folks here. And more importantly, you're going to have the opportunity to ask them questions. You're going to have the opportunity to kind of meet with them virtually and hopefully build those connections so that you can easily get that and secure an academic internship in the days to come. But right now, we're going to talk about academic and non-academic internships. So the best way to start, I'm going to have Ashley begin and tell you all about the non-credit internships. Ashley, go ahead and take us away.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. So I'm going to go over a little bit about what an internship is and what a non-credit internship is. So, of course, we've all heard the word internship. A lot of us have probably seen all the stereotypical intern characters in movies and TV shows. The person who's taking out the trash, the person who's running and getting the coffee orders, the person who's answering all the phone calls, everything like that. So in general, internships are just anything that will inform your career path. So it's really any experience that you do, usually in your college years, that will inform your career a little bit better. But in this case, for non-credit internships, usually require some experience. They're competitive to get. It's kind of like an entry-level position. So you'll see you might be working alone. You might not be supervised as much. You're kind of expected to have some of those skills and abilities already in your toolbox that you already have on your resume, where you apply for these positions and then you get hired on. So these are just general internships. They're great experience. They're great resume builders. Of course, we always promote you to be able to do anything to get you that experience while you can. But we want to focus on today is the difference between a general internship, like I just talked about, and an academic internship. So now I'm going to pass it back to Andrew to talk a little bit more about what an academic internship is versus a non-credit internship.
That's right, Ashley. And the general internships, it's so ubiquitous, but the academic internships, this is actually a cool thing. You heard Ashley tell you how general internships require you to have experience, to have the skill sets. You have to apply and you have to go through that rigorous process. And I know a lot of you are probably at home at some point in time, maybe even now, saying, you know what? I'm just not ready. I'm not prepared. I haven't done any kind of work. Well, guess what? The academic internship experience is the one that's right for you. You see, academic internships are similar to general internships, except there's an intentional, pre planned, strategic attempt to integrate your curriculum, your coursework, all the years that you spend learning the major and the degree and everything you need to learn in the work environment. It happens so often that students will say, I just don't know what I'm going to do with my degree. I don't know what I'm going to do with all this knowledge that I'm learning. I just took a test and it was 2 hours long and it was 5, 6, 7 pages long. And I just don't know what I'm going to do with it. That's what the academic internship is. And the cool thing about the academic internship is you're not alone. You're going to be working alongside your colleagues. You're going to be working alongside your friends, and you're going to get this fun collaborative experience. Now, it may not always be fun, obviously, off the top of the bat, but still, you get the chance to work with the team, building a network, growing your experience, especially when you don't already have any. You're going to have formative and summative feedback. In a word, it's going to be a fantastic learning experience. And here in the CICE, both Ashley and myself, we review these experiences even before you get a chance to do them. Yes, there is an approval process that we did speak in brief last week, and we'll probably speak again in the weeks to come. But the idea is that we're looking for specific elements of any proposed experience so that you're not taken advantage of, so that you can walk away saying, I really had a strong, good learning experience in my field. Now I have an idea about what I'm going to do moving on in the future. And Ashley's going to share a little bit more about that framework. But another thing about academic internships that I want to share with you, aside from gaining the skills that you need for gainful employment, guess what, gang? You can get paid still. One of the biggest myths is that you can't get paid for an academic internship. You certainly can make the buck over here. You certainly can get paid. And thankfully, we're seeing a lot more paid academic internships. Last academic year, for example, we saw 24%, literally almost a quarter percent of all approved academic internships were paid. And some of them actually pay fairly well, but don't feel like you must only be unpaid. And again, that's a whole process that involves labor law, and that involves CICE, interacting with your partners, determining what is the best scenario for you. The other benefit of academic internships is that you help stave off underemployment. Yes, I said underemployment. I know everyone talks about unemployment. Right now, unemployment is horrendous. I get it. I know COVID-19's not really done well in terms of that department. But even before COVID-19, or well before COVID-19, unemployment rates were very low. In fact, we hit record lows for a very long time. But it's the underemployment. And the way we define it is this: it's being overqualified, underpaid, or working in a field not related to your degree. And that number nationally, gang, that should be fairly scary. You see, unemployment rates before COVID-19, and at some point in the future will bounce back up again, we were in the 4s and 3% nationally. But underemployment rate, gang, we were at 48% and above, and it all depends on each state. In other words, almost half of every graduating student within 3 to 5 years of graduation was overqualified for the job they have, underpaid for the job they have, or they're working in fields not related to their degree. And that can be a pretty big problem. But what we found in my research, for my dissertation, it's my EDD at the end of my name, was that there are some mitigating factors for underemployment. So if you don't want to be underemployed, one of the things that you can do and have control of is do an academic internship. In fact, academic internships, service learning experiences, doing the strategic research experiences, going to Washington, D.C., those types of very involved experiential learning, we call them high impact practices, they help to reduce the likelihood of people reporting underemployment within the first 3 to 5 years. And that to me is a fantastic reason to move on forward. But here we are still trying to figure out what exactly is an academic internship versus a general internship. So CICE thought we'll make this a lot simpler for you. What we came up with is something called the LEARN framework. We love acronyms. Acronyms help us to remember things that sometimes we might otherwise forget. And so we've developed this LEARN framework because, well, academic internships are a learning experience. So Ashley and I, we're going to tell you a little bit more about what these individual elements of the LEARN framework involve. Ashley, tell us, what are the first few elements of this LEARN framework?
Right. So the LEARN framework, I also like how you said it. It helps me remember everything that we have to go over when we are reviewing academic internships. But the first part we want to go over in the LEARN framework is the L, and the L stands for length of service. So what we're talking about here is how long your internship should be. And so, of course, when you are in an academic internship, you're going to be enrolled in an academic course. And so the internship should last the same amount of time that the course is, which means the length of a semester. So it's about 3 to 4 months, about 15 or 16 weeks, where it is a training experience. And so this is an adequate amount of time for you to hop in on a new role. You're going to have training experiences, you're going to have mentorship, you're going to get more experience in your field. And those 3 to 4 months are just about the amount of time it takes to master some skills. By the end of it, you'll have new knowledge and skills and abilities that will make you more experienced in your field by the end. Anything longer than that will really kind of roll into the field of employment. So anything longer than 3 to 4 months, you kind of know the job. A lot of us have had job experience in the past where, after you've worked a job for 4 months, you get the hang of it, then you're kind of the expert, and then maybe you're ready to train a new employee. So at that point, at the end of the semester, that's about how long your internship should last. And then going next in our Learn framework is the E. So the E here stands for expert supervision. So for every academic internship, we make sure that the company or the organization has identified a supervisor for you. And that person needs to be an expert in their field by either years of experience or they have their degree in your same degree field. And they're the one who has all of the knowledge and all those great things that you want to learn, that's going to take the time to have that one-on-one training with you. They're going to be your mentor throughout this process. You're going to be your go-to person for any questions. They're going to be showing you all the things about the organization and about the field. And so we want to make sure that that person is well equipped to be able to give you that training experience. Much like in a classroom where you have your professor, they're the one who is the expert teaching all these skills. Same thing with an internship, an academic internship. Your supervisor is basically like your teacher in the field. So then rolling into the next letter in our acronym is A, which is academically appropriate. So this one seems kind of obvious, but the internship must be related to your field. So exactly like I talked about before, when you are in the classroom, you have your professor in your course, it's going to be the same thing with your internship. It's got to be related to your field. And so going back to non-credit internships, say you are a biology major, but you're super interested in film. If you do a film internship, you won't get credit for it. But if you're a biology major and you have an internship as a laboratory assistant, that's perfect. And so we see this through learning outcomes that the company has laid out for you that are all related to your major, so that there are goals that you'll have. And so you'll be more equipped at the end of your internship to be a better applicant for future jobs in your field. So that's LEA of the framework. So then for the R and the N, I'm going to pass it back over to you, Andrew.
Thank you so much. Yeah, those three are critical. That's what we predicate a lot of our decisions on. Now comes the more technical side of what we do at CICE and why it's important for us here on campus. And the R stands for risk management. Now that sounds kind of scary, sounds kind of creepy. No, it's not to say that you are necessarily at risk, but you see, when a university, an institution, if you will, endorses someone to go out and to work, especially if it's part of a required degree requirement, um, we have to make sure that you are as safe as possible. And there are things that we have to review to look at with the experience that you may not think about in advance, especially if you're working with heavy machinery or maybe hazardous chemicals, or maybe you're going to a high crime area and you have to walk, through an area that really isn't the safest for you, or you have to work in a time of pandemic. What we do at the Center for Initiative Community Engagement is we ensure, to the very best possibility, with the information we get in advance, that you are going to have the safest experience insofar as we're able to review. And along with that comes general and professional liability insurance. So the university, the CSU, does cover you with that insurance. That's why it's so critical that if you are going to do an academic internship, that internship is reviewed by us, that it's approved by us, that we work with your faculty members, we work with your partners. So we're not just making decisions here in a vacuum. We're doing so in collaboration, so you have the best overall experience. So we move from R. Now we got to finish up this acronym, right? LEARN. Well, and we're going to take a little bit of subjective liberties with this one, but we think it's very relevant. No exploitation of labor. That's right. We don't want people to take advantage of you. I mean, that's the first thing that comes in people's mind, right? When they think about an intern, oh, like Ashley mentioned before, that's the coffee getter, that's the bagel runner, that's the person that does the work that nobody likes. And typically in these experiences, you are working alone. You don't have that fun collaborative experience that you saw earlier, and everyone is happy and interacting, and you're getting feedback. Sometimes you're just simply doing a work for people, and that's pretty much all that you're really getting out of that. And you're doing all, that whole coffee getting thing. That's the no exploitation of labor. So we make sure that there's some equity on your end. So especially when over the course of an internship, but for whatever reason, you don't get a chance to have the experiences that you want. We do call the employer and we don't put them down. We don't say, hey, you're not doing the right thing. As all partnerships go, we do have a relationship. And so we talk with your supervisor. We share a little bit of our concerns. We share concerns from your faculty member. We might even share your concerns, all in attempt to remind them about what an academic internship is. The idea, gang, is that you're not alone out there just doing work for someone else and getting nothing in return. There has to be this dynamic, this back and forth didactic experience between your supervisor and you. Because the idea is that they want to create, well, mini thems in you. So they're nurturing the future generation of professionals by pouring their knowledge, insights, and all of their personal experiences out to you. Um, so that for us pretty much sums it up in a nutshell. LEARN, learn. So when you go out and you look for an internship, maybe you went to LinkedIn Jobs last week after we did the whole walkthrough, or maybe you know that friend, or maybe you have that a colleague that said, "Hey, I know someone that would love to have you as an intern." Use this framework as a way to determine in advance whether or not this is something that's going to be meaningful for you. And the key word there is that it's meaningful. Ashley, go ahead and tell me a little bit more about when all this should take place, because that's a big question that people have, right? Okay, great. This sounds wonderful, guys. I want to do an academic internship. In fact, I want to do one for fall 2020. We're nearing the end of July, gang, and you know that summer is nearly over. So when should we be looking for academic internships?
Mhm.
Ashley, what would be your answer to that?
So we recommend for finding an academic internship of looking about 3 to 5 months in advance. So you might be thinking like, oh, that might be a lot of time, but you can imagine when companies are looking for interns, they got to do a lot of reaching out. They post on Titan Connection, they post on LinkedIn, they post on Indeed, and then they have to go through applications, they have to interview. There's a process that takes place. And to ensure that you're able to get an academic internship and have enough time to make sure that it's approved by CICE, make sure you have time to enroll in your correct course, 3 to 5 months is a great place to start. But another tip is if your dream job is somewhere at a big corporation, maybe it's a big production studio, it's got a big name attached to it. We usually say about 8 to 12 months, so even up to a year. So you'll see if you've got that dream company, and I know what you're thinking of, the big production studios. We're near a lot down here in Southern California. If you've got your eye on those, apply now. They're actually starting to recruit for summer 2021, maybe even fall.
2 weeks has really been an opportunity for Ashley and I to work out the technology side. But I think I know what happened. And hopefully, I'm pretty confident actually that for the next weeks, we'll have this figure out. But thank you for bearing with us, joining us back on live. I'm going to pass it back to Ashley. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. And then we'll go ahead and finish. Ashley, go ahead and continue what you were talking about in terms of when and those academic internships are best to get.
Yeah, perfect. So I had mentioned before that you should start to apply 3 to 5 months in advance. But for those larger corporations at some of your dream companies, up to a year, 8 to 12 months is a great time frame to start applying for that. And then we just wanted to direct you back over to the academic internship instruction cards, which you can find on our website, fullerton.edu/CICE. When you hover over the students tab, you'll see a link for those academic instruction cards where you'll find your course, click on your course, and then you'll have the specifics on what your department requirements are. So go check that out. Make sure you've got everything in place for when you start to apply for those internships.
Sounds good. And one other thing that we do want to cover very briefly is that you have to register with CICE. Now, in those academic information cards or instruction cards, is what we call it, you're going to find step 4. By the way, there's only 4 steps. It's a very easy process. Um, Follow those 4 steps. Very last step before you begin your internship, you want to complete that registration. And in the coming weeks, Ashley and I will put together a very quick primer video will take you step by step along the pathway and just a way for you to kind of see what happens when you do the registration. It's not hard to do, takes no more than about 7 to 10 minutes at the most. But if you do have any questions, make sure you contact us at your earliest convenience. You can find us very easily at CICE at fullerton.edu/657 278 3746. That's our phone number. Yes, we are still checking out our emails. We're still watching the phones. Or you can even find us here. You can find us here online. If you're watching us on YouTube, here's our Facebook channel. And whether or not we stay on Facebook, we go to YouTube, we're still trying to figure this out. But hey, join our Facebook. This week alone, we have staff that are uploading new opportunities that you may not be aware of so that you can see. So those that are on our Facebook group, our Facebook page, I should say, they're going to see these new opportunities come up before anyone else. So please go ahead and like us there. And then you can also, if you're on Facebook, you can also subscribe to us on YouTube. And that's where all of our programs are going to be uploaded. You can also see a gallery of previous videos that we created for our award winners for our yearly or annual CIC Engagement Awards. And you know what? If you're picture takers, in the next few months, we're going to go ahead and be including pictures from interns at their sites and employers that are showing exactly what it's like to do internships at their sites on our Instagram account. So go ahead, and we're all over social media, at least we're attempting to, and it should be fairly fun in that way. Ashley, tell us what's coming up in the next few weeks.
All right. So what's next? We are very excited to bring in some faces other than ours. Some of our favorite partners that we've had in the past who have amazing opportunities coming up for all of you. So this week we talked about academic and non-credit internships and the difference between those two. And then next week we're very, very excited to have one of our partners, Logan from the Cinema, who's a nonprofit organization, and they have a variety of opportunities, whether you're interested in communications, graphic design, public relations, they've got it all for you. Following that, July 22nd is Kids Sports News Network, again with a variety of opportunities for you there. Whether you're interested in broadcast journalism, they have opportunities, human resources, so they're going to hop on and tell you more about those experiences. And then the last week for July, we're going to bring on Stand Up for Kids. And this is a great youth serving organization. So if that's something you're interested in, again, they've got a variety of opportunities there, whether you're interested in being an outreach counselor, they have opportunities in public relations, anything under that umbrella. We hope you join us because they're going to be sharing lots of great tips for you. And again, they have opportunities available for you now virtually. And then hopefully once we're able to go back in person, they still have all those opportunities available.
Yeah, and we are currently building our schedule for the month of August all the way through to September. And our hope is that you would come back each week and you'll invite your friends, invite anyone that wants to hear so that we can continue with this whole platform. We'd love to bring to you all of our partners at some point in the future and bring to you some of our campus partners as well and give you critical information, all in this kind of fun, interactive environment. So stick with us. I think it's going to be a fun ride. And as I said before, you can always contact us via email or phone. So if you're not online right now and you're not able to comment and ask questions of us now, you can do so that way, and somebody will get back to you as soon as possible. On behalf of Ashley and CICE, I'd love to thank you for your time today, and I look forward to spending some time with you and hanging out with you here on social media in the weeks to come. In the meantime, take care and have a safe week.
See you next week.